Good evening, everyone. Hope you had a good week so far. It's off to an early start, but we hope we have a good week ahead of us. Let's look over the minutes.
Well, I did not give you minutes, we will have to review them next week, I apologize.
That's okay. I have a copy, and I would like to make a slight amendment to it.
So no one else has it, so we'll have to wait until the next meeting.
Right. So, all right, citizen comment, and I see none, so we'd like to welcome our new board member, Miss Amanda. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Excited.
We appreciate what you did on the food summit and how well that went, and we're glad to have you as a direct contact to that agency, and that's been one of our goals all along, is to try to plug in and reach as many groups as we can. So we might, if you have any word or information, or if y'all have met at any time, or you'd like to say something about that, or say a few remarks, that'll be fine, or if you want to, if you don't have to, but.
I'm just really excited to be here. Yeah, I think there's not a lot happening due to the coronavirus, but I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. Some fresh energy, and we realize not too many people have been able to meet, so
Yeah.
we're looking forward to it. The numbers were down yesterday and today, so went from 1,500 to 1,000 yesterday and 700 cases today, so maybe we're finally maybe going. Farmers Resource Guide. It's looking good. It's getting refined, it seems like, as we go along. And I appreciate the summation. The mini guide, it's a colorful, easy to hand out, less bulky and all from the original, but a very good condensation. Good handout. Any comments on it, or additions, or?
I think you might want to look behind you. Debbie had made some changes. We met virtually, Amanda, Debbie, and myself. And this was, the one that you have is the one that I put together for us to start as a rough draft. Debbie made these changes, and I'll let her tell you kind of her thought process on that.
Okay. It's really not changes so much as what we talked about. One of the things we talked about on our meeting is that we needed like maybe a two-sided document to have one for farmers or growers and producers and one for consumers. And some things go for each one. But one thing that these additions are like, and they don't have, it doesn't have the contact information, but I think we need to limit the contact information maybe to address, phone number, or email, email or website or whatever, so that it's not such a bulky thing. And maybe leave off, not necessarily have names so much as, like contact names, because most of the time you just call somebody and they put you with the right person anyway or whatever. But this is, I got a lot of this information, this new information from South Carolina Department of Agriculture's page. And these are our local, where you can buy local food. And it lists the farmer's market, the certified roadside markets, has some other, like the certified South Carolina members. And, the agritourism people. So, and then I thought if we kind of did it from local to federal, kind of go from very local to then the federal, to state and federal resources.
Well, that's what I was trying to do is.
Right, you
everything
did.
that-
So that's what I'm saying. I didn't really change it that much, but I just kind of, in my mind, had to do it like that. So, I didn't mean to change it. It was more just add to. But, I think that what we talked about was having something that was easily accessible and kind of led you, not necessarily give you all all the information you might ever want about it, but at least lead you to the information. Is that what you thought, Amanda, maybe?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Just a quick reference.
Yeah. So that's kind of that was the gist of what we're doing. Today I tried to work on, I've done it before, I just couldn't, I had so many things going on, was like a bifold brochure. Not a lot of people use brochures. Most of the times I use like the infographic thing, kind of like we had for the county resources or whatever, but like a bifold brochure that maybe when you open it up, you have, say the grower resources, and on the back you have what would be good for everybody. I mean, when you looked on the back of it.
I think that leads into what Amanda was saying, we need something for consumers to purchase. And I agree with that. I think my biggest two concerns I have is listing this out. I understand it came off of the website, but who are we leaving out? I mean, I think that could open up.
Well, that's what you're gonna find out, because people say, well, you left me off here. Well, then you need to sign up with
So
Open Line.
if I may, the initial intent of doing this was to create a farmer's resource guide. And while we definitely do need an advertising structure for all the farms and ag tours, things like that, I don't think that we can go advertise farms. We can advertise associations, I imagine, maybe. Definitely the federal and state and local USDAs, things like that. But as far as the actual agritourism and the certified SC, I mean, maybe a link to certified SC, but noting the actual farms and things I feel kind of strays into the advertising realm. Now we're advertising private businesses with public funds. The farmers markets, generally speaking, are much more governmental issue, though the farm center is a private entity. Like, that gives me a lot less heartburn. The associations, generally speaking, are fine, because there's not a lot of contesting associations, but maybe there are. But the actual, with the intent being a farmer's resource guide, as opposed to more of a advertising entity, just putting out that kind of gives me, putting all the different members, certified SC members, kind of gives me a little heartache. So, but I'll certainly run it by our county attorney and see what his thoughts on that.
I think the original intent was just to have something online too. So now we're talking about having a handout available. Is that right?
With the brochure being made, definitely with the, as far as that goes, I mean, I can print up a limited amount, but definitely probably much more available online initially, since everything's changed since January with the world.
Yeah, I guess it's just being new and just having a quick conversation with Kim and Debbie to shape some of this. It would be really helpful for me to hear, beyond just Debbie and Kim, what the intent of the Farmer's Resource Guide is and what need it's fulfilling, because I'm not totally sure or clear of the vision here. What is the need? Is there a need? Are our farmers not connected to resources? It could be, so that would be really helpful for me to hear.
It was originally, part of the title was called the Beginning or New Farmers and Ranchers Resource Guide, or the Beginning Farmers Guide. It was for people just getting started to have resources they can go to, kind of an index or table of contents of places they could go find information for organic or soil testing or what have you, poultry, licensing, the DHEC rules.
Well, none of that's on here.
It's just, it originally was intended as a beginning guide, beginning farmer guide.
And the South Carolina Beginning a New Farmer program doesn't print anything like that? Doesn't share publicly that information?
There is a new farmer program in the state, and they meet, I think they have classes once a year or something.
They have to apply to be part of the
Yeah, and it's
program.
usually downstate somewhere, Columbia or whatever, but.
So if I may jump in here, so today was actually a great example. I had a gentleman call me, he actually said Gwen McPhail was one of his teachers to kind of put him in an age bracket there. I don't know when she taught, but that's his general age. And he wanted to start a farm. And he's been growing stuff, a lot of peppers and stuff for himself. And he was like, what do I need to do to be a farmer? And I think I've just been getting this information from you all over the last few days. And that was just today, because he's like, well, what business licenses do I need? And I said, well, we don't need any. And he's like, what about certifications? What if I want to make some like jams or jellies? Okay, well, so I put him in touch with Carrie Roach. I thought that was, since although you all had sent me this stuff, I feel at this point, Carrie at Extension was the best person to send him to. So while there's a new farmer program, certainly there's plenty of people out here who do little market garden and stuff like that who are interested in doing it. And I think that was the idea, is to have a document to say, okay, what do you want to do? Bees? All right, well, there's a beekeepers association, so call them, maybe they know some stuff. Here's Carrie or whoever at the extension. And I feel it was meant to be more of a first steps kind of thing. And that was kind of my takeaway from it, if you all have different thought on that.
No, I agree. That is pretty much what we said. I think that when we first started, it kind of came out one of the listening sessions, if I remember. Someone can correct me. Because there were people that came in and said, I didn't know that existed. I didn't know where to do that. I didn't know. There was a lot of unknowns. And a lot of people didn't know where to go. And I think that's kind of where this thought process came from, is, okay, what are we charged to do to promote ag in Oconee County? So if you're charged with that, then you need to be able to provide the average farmer, whoever that might be, newcomer, old farmer, whatever, with some type of resource, some type of something to help them move forward and be successful.
Are we getting close to being able to publish this guide on the county website, or?
Well, I think there's
We'll
some
go right there
things
with it.
that need to be, I think where we are, there's some things that need to be clarified from you guys, because like everybody's putting their input in, so what is the pleasure of the board? I mean, we're 3 or 4, we don't get to have the final say-so. It has to be voted on by a majority. So what format, what information, do you want just like, do you want to take out under Clemson Extension, names and whatever? Do you want just a website, or do you want the departments and the director and all of that listed? How do you perceive it listed? One of the thought processes was the main number, is that, if I'm saying anything out of line, y'all can jump in and correct me, was to redo this and take out all of the departments and only list the website and the main number? Or do you want the individual departments to where if someone is just in forestry, they'll call the forestry area. If someone's just in, livestock, the new cattle guy, those types of things. One other thing that's on this list is 4-H, and that's not necessarily farming, but that is
But
our future,
that's,
I
I guess the reason I was thinking is like, Clemson Extension and the state people, I mean, we can direct them to them, but that's their thing. I mean,
It's their job.
and they have a whole lot of money to promote themselves, and they do a fairly good job of it. So I think, maybe we can condense it down and say, this is where you go to find out if you can do jams and jellies. This is where you go to find out if you can do this. And Farm Service Agency can help you with grants. NCRS can help you with grants, or, whatever. I mean, I don't know, because
Yeah, that sounds way more.
I'm not getting paid to advertise Clemson.
Right.
I'm not getting paid anything.
Well, I think the way that Adam explained it was something that was missing, which was like,
Yeah.
yeah, if I want to be a farmer, what are the certifications? What are the licenses? What are the rules? Where do I go to get this information? Because it is, you know, that piece is, that makes a lot of sense.
Maybe we could, kind of say that, you know, like,
Yeah, I think
Um,
that's the part that's missing,
you want
so
to be.
let's do it.
This is, you know.
Yeah, you wanna
where
be a
start
farmer?
and da-da-da, you know, this is-
Here's where to start. I like it.
I think this full guide has a lot of good background information and a lot of resources, like we said. And explains the 4 compartments of the Department of Agriculture and the certified or grown and all that. That's good information. Just kind of depends on how much room we have, where we put it, I guess.
Yeah, where does it go?
No, is there a place that you can, if, say theoretically, if we came down, up with a page for a website, is there a place on the county website for something like that?
So I bet you on the place in the county website, yes, we could. We do have social media as well. They're wanting to kind of push that out.
Oh,
You all have also your social medias, things of that nature. As far as printing and stuff, I don't know at this point in time that we're gonna be able to
that's
dial
not,
up print stuff, but, we do have our website. We can certainly put it there. I know it's not the most trafficked page, but, let's get the product first and then we'll put it out where we can.
That's one thing about doing it on there, if you need to add to, you can add to or take away or whatever after you get it.
Change it nice.
You can change it then.
Yeah,
I think what you wanna do is keep this thing as simple as you can.
right.
And don't get it to where you got a book where somebody's gotta read it, but, you know, and just more information about, all right, you wanna become a farmer. I mean, you know, there's, how many thousands of farmer types of farms are there? I mean, you got so many, and, put them in the right place they could go that handles, just like Clemson University or Clemson Extension, that handles a lot of it, and you got them with the 4-H, and you got the Farm Bureau. If you're looking for insurance, you've got USDA here with Beth and all, if you're looking for a loan to get a big farm. I think things like that is what you're really looking for, if you want to start a farm. And then you've got a few things listed, if you wanted to list them, but Clemson, just like me being an apple grower, let me use this as an example. We've got some people that came in there and they bought a farm. It's an apple orchard. And, what they do is, everybody refers them to me or somebody that's been in the business a long time, and they come and talk, and we'll talk to them and let them know just what you're getting into, what you need, what it consists of, and, help them out there. And that goes along with the list you made, with farmers that's already existing and growing. Of course, your extension now has all that, but I think what you're doing is doing great here. It's just keeping it simple and just inform somebody, here's some information, here's some places you can go if you want to be a farmer. Just like Adam, for instance, they call him, he's got to send them to somebody else, because Adam's not a farmer. And, as long as has a resource you can send them to, I think that's what we're after, isn't it? Or am I wrong? If I'm wrong now, y'all just holler up and tell me.
I'm new at this thing too. I
But I
didn't
think
work originally.
I think we want, looking for a guide for somebody that comes in. I mean, I had a guy from Florida that came up and bought an apple orchard. Now, he's lived in Florida all his life. And he came up and he didn't buy a little orchard. I mean, he's got one about 20-something acres. And he said, I think I'm just gonna push it all up. I said, why don't you try it before you push up? I said, because it's gonna take you 20 years to get that orchard back to where it's at now. I said, that's how long it takes before you're in business. I said, you've got 6 years before you're gonna gain a penny off and you set an apple tree. You got 6 years. You're putting money into it, but 6 years before you get any money back to mount anything. And I said, why don't you try it? I said, we'll help you. And so me and another farmer, we got together, and he had a sprayer that came with the orchard, and he had a tractor that came with the orchard. Of course, he didn't know what to do, but we kind of helped him along. And I said, now you try it a year. Then if you don't like it, take the dozer and make you a pasture or whatever you want, go to a different type. But I think, you got a lot of people coming in, and at one time, I was on Farmers Home Administration Board, and I know we had people coming from New Jersey, down here, in Oconee County at the time, never seen a hog unless it was in the grocery store, and they were gonna start a hog farm and wanted $250,000. I'm going, do what? You need to do a little research, before you start doing something like that, and just, and I think that's what we need to do here, is put a guide out there that just, to give them some places to go to. So, I'll quit talking now, I'll talk no more. Y'all doing a great job.
They did a great job, I agree, putting this together. There's a lot of good resources in here. I see the benefit of having a little background information and all the resources listed. I see the benefit of having a consolidated form of that too. So,
Yeah.
If we're thinking about putting it on the website, which we've talked about a long time, maybe we could put it as an index where you can link to, go down to, one-page index, see what you're interested in, go to that link. Then it's all right there in one, there's the summary, the table of contents, and then you go to the chapter and verse you want. And if it's in the form of a handout, we're limited on what we can print, but, that's a good handout for somebody that walks in an office and wants some information on apples and peaches, or mushrooms, or bees, whatever. So there's benefit to both sides.
Yeah.
Both formats, just according to where it's going, where it wants to end up.
That's what the direction I think we're looking for, is for you to
Yeah.
tell us what is the final format you want, because
Well, those are some ideas of however we want to present it. I like what y'all did in putting it together. We should come up with that consensus, I guess. There's going to be different avenues. I can't dictate. I'm not going to dictate. I'm going to,
So you're
Request
just saying you want a farmer
Well,
resource guide, not
so
a consumer guide.
how about for next time?
Well, if you get into consumer guide, you're gonna get into
Okay.
more of advertising, would you, or would you not?
No, I don't know,
And then if you go
I'm just asking.
I
So
don't know.
you're talking about more of a farmer-centered guide is what I'm taking out of this.
I think the question is, do we want to work on both a longer guide with more detailed information and a one-pager, right? That's the question, right?
I think that's the question.
Right.
And for right now, I think the other question is what goes in the shorter resource will dictate what goes in the longer guide. So I think the question that we have is, so this is our start, along with this that's behind you. This is where we are. Of these, what do you want us to do? What is your directive? Do you want this guide to have the names and the numbers, like Westminster's on here, but we really honestly don't know if they're open, but they're on here and listed as a website and as a market with the dates. Do you want us to leave that, or do you just want us to take off the number and the address? How much do you want us to put is the question here. Just like on the back, the discussion of extension. Do you want extension's website, or do you want the departments broken down with the website and a phone number with a contact person? What is the preference of the Ag Board as we're putting it together? The link will be there. Their email and their phone number will be there. The discussion was, should we be doing that or not? So what is your direction for us, I guess, is our question.
Well, originally it was this, and this was put together very nicely. And so we just have to modify it into
That.
this.
That's what that is. Basically, everything that is in that long book is right here on one page, front and back. The question is, how much more concise do you want this? The thought process, and I didn't explain it very well when I laid it out, was this is local to Oconee County, everything on front. And then the back goes to Clemson, which is more regional and state, all the way down to federal. So what is the advisory board's charge now? I know we left out DHEC, I realize that.
I put it on my list.
On this one,
I know about that.
I know we did that. So I know that's got to go in with the departments for the farmers, because they do need that on there. I guess
Do you think soil and water too?
yes. NRCS was just one, I think it was on there and it just got cut when I did the PDF because it's on the next page and I didn't pull it back up. But all of this, like, this really can be condensed a lot, is what I'm saying. So, what's your direction? I guess that's the question for the board, is what is the next step you want us to do? Condense it down more, or utilize what we've got?
I like Doug's suggestion, of keeping it simple, because people don't want to look at a lot of information if they're looking for specifics. Condensing it would be fine if we're not throwing this in the trash, the original. You're gonna include this, right, with this?
Well, I'm not so sure, like Adam said, that we can include some of the agritourism and that, because then you're getting into the marketing side there. But I think we can include a lot of that.
Keeping impartiality, yeah.
So if I may,
Not getting into promoting businesses, I agree.
Golden Corner Food Pantry, they have the gentleman who runs that place, I cannot remember his name for liking right now, I apologize. But he made sure, and it's really tiny font from a sales point, it's kind of terrible, but from using it, it's amazing. Because he got every single, if you're in need of housing, food, assistance of any kind of social thing, from like social support such, he put it on one piece of paper, and it's the whole piece, it's like a cheat sheet. It's everything in one piece. And we've used that a couple times to help out people who call us up like, hey, we're gonna be homeless tomorrow. And it's super helpful to have a one pager because you don't have to worry about stuff going all over the place. And even though it's aesthetically not the cleanest thing in the world, it really, really works. So if you think who the end user is gonna be, people who are trying to either help other people or just someone, a one pager is super helpful. And they can always kind of distill that information out otherwise. So that's just my 2 cents, is a one pager would be helpful to start with.
That's what I mean by the table of contents with referring to the chapter. So a page, as short and sweet, is good, I think. But it's not up to me. It's just my opinion.
Okay. Well, I think we probably have enough to go on then now that we kind of,
I like what you've done, and I understand about promoting private enterprises. We aren't able to do that, so.
well, in defense of the list that I made, if you'll notice, people who are in the we could just leave the names off, but they are local certified markets. Like there's a certified roadside market. There's a certified South Carolina member, like your farm. Your market's not a certified market, but you're a member of Certified South Carolina. So those probably need to go under the community organizations instead, and maybe not list everybody that's in them, but if they have a link to that organization, then they can find out who's
There
in
you
your
go.
county.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's how I found those names.
Yeah, just use the link instead of the.
Yeah, well, I
Exactly.
just went and copied them, but and like I said, in defense, I think that people that are coming into the county may say, well, how do I get, and we probably need to add certified organic, because I hear this all the time, and it's okay, I guess, but I hear, oh, well, I got these organic peaches. Well, where? Because there's no organic peaches in Oconee County.
I'd like to see
Certified organic, and I'd like to see, but we only have 2 certified organic farms in Oconee County. So, but we could have certified organic as a heading or whatever, and a link to where they could find out who's certified organic. That may be a farmer who's wanting to become certified organic.
You can also
So the
have,
league would become certified JEM2.
Right,
farming
and not
is
necessarily list who
certified.
is there, but that,
Right.
Yeah, I'm hearing that there should just needs to be like a small section on certifications, right? So
Right.
we're
Yeah,
only
we
talking
can
about a
pay
few,
attention.
there's lots more. There needs to be a link
Right,
on
y'all have-
licenses. There needs to be a link on soil testing, because these are the things that new farmers need, so,
And-
yep.
Clemson is not all about extension too, it's like the soil testing and, you know, the recent thing with the seeds, you know, really need to go to a different department than our
Yeah,
extension. And so, that, I guess we could weed through that, but,
Well, and the other thing that's very obvious that needs to be on here, if you're farming, you need to, and that, we have the Ag Advisory Board here, but planning is another part of it. So somehow we need to link that in too, because
talk to Adam.
you don't get to throw a barn up and not.
Call Adam,
Put down the name down.
call Adam.
Call Adam,
does
give
have
him a
some-
cell phone number.
You know, it occurs
His
to
home
me,
address.
part of our charge is to promote agriculture. So how do we promote it and not specify certain farms? I mean, we're charged to promote agricultural education and agriculture in general in the county, so we are
We
charged to
can't
do
list
that.
every
I mean,
member.
that's our,
Well, just like they were saying, we'll go back and we'll regroup a little bit with this and have, you know, farmers and certification, and then there'll be like a link to licensing and, you know, what's next, you know, and what they need, and have the organic farmers and promote it that way. We just we can't put your farm name down,
right, I got you.
is what he's saying.
That'll
We
work.
get that.
That'll work. I like what you've done. I like the idea of condensing it to keep it simple. And is this pretty much complete now? Do we think of anything we need to add to it, or is it pretty well done? We made the little list here, that's good, so. Guess it's a working document.
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right, well, since I skipped number 4, board member comment, is there any other comments that you'd like to comment on besides the farm resource guide or something that we hadn't talked about, or, I skipped the comment section. How's your alibi?
I'd just like to make a comment about, I don't know if y'all are aware of this or not, but the governor's executive order last week included outdoor events for wearing face coverings as mandatory measure, which includes farmers markets. If, just in case you wanted to know, we didn't find out about it at the Foothills Market till rather late, but just so you know, it's for volunteers, vendors, consumers. It's mandatory that you wear a face covering. So I think it's kind of I guess, more of a public announcement. But just so you know, and our farmers markets have been going really well. We started to see some apples and peaches, Mr. Hallfield's. And, but just keep that in mind, that the outdoor events are now included, really, so that, you know, if you're going to a place, I would consider that, and because you don't know how many people are gonna be there.
Yeah, good, thank you for bringing that up.
A good thing too, your roadside stands are getting open both, you know, in the Apple and Long Creek area and around over toward Mountain Rest. And, you know, we're gonna do we're all gonna have to do some changes because of the virus and all. I think, you know, one thing that we're looking at is, you know, and our school groups are not gonna be coming to us anymore. And in the UPIC section, I don't know how that's gonna go. I think Bryson's got the only UPIC and Bubba with Stu Bell. But, you know, it's gonna be a little bit different this year, so I'm gonna require that you have a mask on when you come in my fruit stand. I think that's only fair. We're gonna try to do things different. We still got our pick-out bins and stuff, but we're gonna try to do some things different because of the virus. And I don't know how things are gonna work out to where you pick up and you go with what you got. There is some handouts out now on how to disinfect your fruit and vegetables. I don't know if anybody's seen those. I've got some coming that I'm gonna put up at my business so they can kind of see, go home and a little bit of Clorox and water. Anyway, vinegar, and they talk about apple cider vinegar being what you need to clean your fruit and vegetables with. I also put in a portable hand washing system to where people come in. I've got that to where you don't touch the faucets, you just take your foot, pump it up. But making some changes in how we're gonna sell our produce. I know when you go to Ingles, you're gonna go touch everything, and everybody's touched everything. And, but, we're just gonna have to do a little at a time and hoping things are gonna work out for us. So, we've got a lot of people calling, wanting to know when we're gonna be really going at it. And, so I tell them, I said, well, if you can tell me what Mother Nature's gonna do, I can tell you that. But, I don't know. And, I've got people at the farmer's market. It's been really good. Saturdays has been good. The Tuesdays have been kind of slow, at the Heritage Market, but overall, it's been good. We've got a good crowd, and I know Debbie's been there too, and of course, I'm there every Saturday, or try to be, but now when I open my fruit stand, it's gonna be a different story, because I can't be in two places at once, and it's hard to find help. But the market's doing really good. We had, I think it was 24, would you count the vendors?
This past week, I didn't count them, but it was close. We've been having 24, 20.
I think it was more this week, because we had to put up 2-3 more tents with it. The building's full. And if you've not been there, it's worth your while to come and walk through, because you're gonna see a little bit of everything. You can buy some of the best cookies I've ever eaten in my life. I have bought, I don't buy them by a little pack, I get her to bring me the dozens. But, she makes that, and you've got a little bit of everything. If you're looking for a tie-dye coveralls or whatever, you can get it, and some awful good produce. Marlene's really doing good with her produce and bringing it in, and we've got several small farmers now, that, home farmers bringing in produce. So the guy's been beside me, he's been bringing his tomatoes now for the last 3 to 4 weeks, I guess, and everybody's doing really good. I advance, if you come and buy, to come a little bit early. We go from, supposed to be 8 to 12, but it usually starts at 7 to, and whatever, but you got people going. But the farmer's market's doing good. I did hear that Seneca is started back up doing pretty good. I know they were down to start with. I don't know how that's going. And as far as I know, on Westminster's market, I'm not even sure there's anybody there.
No, my understanding was that when we decided to do the Tuesday market at Foothills, that Gwen talked to the lady at Westminster, and there was only one person that was interested, and they invited them to come there on Tuesday. So they're not having anything this year.
I didn't know that, but if we can stay out of the hail and the winds, right now, I think everybody else is doing good. I do know this, if you're canning, wanting to can your vegetables and all, try to find your jars. If you find them, you better buy them.
lids.
Because they're
Try to
scarce.
find your lids.
The jars and lids and rings is all, you can't find them. I talked to Jack Collins yesterday, and Jack's got 300 and something hives bees, I think, 300 stands, him and another guy, Monty McGuffin, I think Monty's working with. And he told me, I'm having all kind of problems trying to find jars. And the big place that we buy from in Greenville, that I buy all my jugs and stuff for, they don't even have that glass. So I don't know what the deal is, but that's gonna be a problem, I think, on some of your canned stuff, your jellies, jams, apple butters, stuff like that people are selling. You're probably gonna have a problem with that, trying to get the jars. I know I have. Now jugs, plastic jugs are no problem right now. But everything looks good.
Along with that, the Farm Center is conducting an online fundraiser. They've asked us to support that, so support that any way you can. Maybe put it on your Facebook page or other social media or whatever. Next is the Agriculture Disclosure Act. which we've provided you a copy. This is sort of a draft. Looked at a whole lot of them, and this one was the most concise, and tried to adapt it to our location. I did mention the strategy and the comprehensive plan that directs us to do this, which I thought that gave it a little meat. And then I mentioned that South Carolina has a Right to Farm Act in there to remind people of that, so it gives it a little more oomph. So look this over, and we'll like to get something to county council. It'll probably get totally changed when it gets to council, but through the planning commission and the county council, we want to give them something to start with so we can have a disclosure.
If I may, so what's more important than the words on a piece of paper is the intent. Because if in our wildest dreams, this was like, yeah, we want to do this, we want to do this, by the time it leaves Columbia, it's going to be in French in comparison to what's on there. So the intent of this document is far more important than the actual letters on the page. The intent would be just to inform, just like there's an asbestos. If you buy a house, you got an asbestos disclosure. You got a lead paint disclosure. The intent, to me, of this document is to say you're moving in next to a farm. Therefore, you've been put on notice that you have a farm, agriculture or forestry going in next to you. If you all like the general idea of that, I would think planning and economic development would be a place for it to go to next. You wouldn't probably do full council, but you could. And really, it would probably require like a letter or something of intent from the board and someone to present it to planning and economic development. So that would be my thoughts on it. And I believe, where did this come from, Mr. Glenn? The outline for this?
This was another state's. Like I mentioned, I looked at a lot of them, and I modified it to include South Carolina. It's odd that where it says it is the policy of this state and community, that's the exact wording that's in South Carolina's Right to Farm Act, paragraph 1, I think it is. But this came from a totally different state, but they're all very similar. Look, every 50 states have right to farm statutes of some kind, and this one came from another state, but they're all very similar. So yeah, the language in the second paragraph is identical to the first paragraph in the State Right to Farm Act. So anyway, modifications or additions or whatever y'all think of, if you want to play with it and give it back to us or whatever, and we'll go about proceeding to the council.
Is there a way you can add, not just that's in the Ag's district or zone or whatever, but is an existing farm or?
There's language in others about establishment of the date to farm, and within that first year, they can complain if there's a nuisance, and then after that.
Well, I'm talking about like if you bought a piece of property that
Right.
was an existing farm.
That's same. You can do that. Existing farm. I did not put the established date in there. That's important because I see it in a lot of them. And if it was not a nuisance when it was established, it can't be a nuisance now. That's in a lot of them too, so. Existing
We were
farm.
trying to keep it simple,
Yep.
as simple as we possibly
Yeah, but-
could, and because like Adam said, it's gonna be,
Right.
before it gets anywhere, it's gonna be revised and added to, took away, and what have you, but we gotta have a start to get it
Right.
in motion.
I'm just asking, because the
Yeah.
one thing about it is we have a very small ag this zone, but we have farms all over the county that are taxed as farms or, that are working farms, but they are not in an ag district.
Exactly, and that we don't have an ag district like this state does. We have control-free, correct? So that's.
Well, because the zoning varies by county, and some counties don't really do that very much. But once again, and we can nitpick with this. I think that I think the intent of what this document is for is just one more thing that's run in parallel with the document. It's running fair with everything at the comp plan. We're just throwing as many things out to support, protect, promote agriculture across the board. So the intent is probably most important, and whoever wants to write that letter to get it to planning and economic development, if that's where y'all want to send it, is probably the key notion there. Because as soon as it leaves here, it's toothpaste out of the tube. We're not gonna have really too much of a hand in it.
Is that where it should go first?
It can go there if you wish to send it to full council. I think planning and economic development, because it kind of, this to me has much more of a, and also it's gonna impact the state. It's not gonna be for Oconee County. If this happens over the course of however many years, and I fully expect it would be years to occur, it'll impact the entire state, which is amazing. But I think planning and economic development is probably the place for it. I think the next meeting of theirs is September, although don't quote me on that one at the moment.
Well, I would be glad to modify this anyway, like you said, add existing farms, put the date the farm was established, because I think that and some nuisance things is another sentence or two, and then I'll be glad to deliver it to the Economic Development and Planning Group.
Adam, what do you think that, if we present it to council, they gonna send it somewhere else too?
So the next planning and economic development meeting, I think is November, does that sound right? I don't think that sounds right.
They don't meet every month.
They meet quarterly. No, it's gotta be sooner than that, I just can't.
Not talking about the planning commission.
Oh, there it is, it's September, is the next meeting. So, once again, it is the intent of it, and I think that's probably the place for us, planning and economic development, to let them, because we as an advisory board, we're advising council, and you're kind of taking bites out of the elephant. Planning and economic development would be to me, a reasonable stop for it. And then we can let them do what they choose to. Are they going to send an official letter? Are they gonna ask full council, send something to the LOR, to delegation? I'm not sure how that would function after the fact. But I think that's where one or y'all have to, how many y'all? Have to, I would think, come up with some kind of narrative of a letter, a couple paragraphs, say, hey, comp plan, agriculture, here you go, this is our idea. You've been advised.
I'll be glad to. I've spoken to a couple of them already about this, so just kind of advising, getting advice, and opinions, so I'll be glad to do that.
So if that's what you all want to do, you all have to make a motion and a vote to send it to planning and economic development and have someone present it. I would think someone should present it other than me, though it can, because those meetings start at 4:30.
And include provisions for adjustment or additions or deletions or modifications. If y'all want to add something like Debbie mentioned, just send it to me and I'll include it and send it back to you or whatever. Or we'll approve it at some point.
So if y'all want to approve exact language, that today would be a good day for that. As far as you all wanting to send it up somewhere, or do you all want to chew on it a little longer?
I'd like to, more so than having something to say on the specific wording of the notice and the form, I think it would be really neat to participate in drafting a letter. If you wanted to start it, I think is what I hear you saying, that could come from this agricultural board to speak with one voice about the intent of this. I think I'd have a lot more input in something like that then we could take to the Economic Development Committee.
And have a letter instead of a form.
Yeah, well, a letter that is like an intro to this document.
That we have input in.
Right, so we almost like co-write a letter that's from the Agricultural Advisory Board to, I think that as a farmer and as somebody who lives in the county, I'd have a lot more to say about the intent of this than I do about this formal legal document. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe we entertain a motion to draft a letter to the Planning and Economic Department with input from the members, you all.
Okay.
So to clean that up a little bit, let's go ahead and make the motion to have specific people write a letter, present a letter to planning and economic development. So specify who's gonna do it, up to 3 of you. And then, say, okay, Mr. Blanton, Ms. Callahan, who else, if anybody else wants to jump in, or just two, I don't know if we're gonna make it camel by having too many people write a letter or not. And then, they'll need a second, then I'll need a vote.
Okay,
And just to clean it up a little bit so it doesn't get, because they only meet quarterly, correct? So it doesn't get delayed. Can we include in the motion for this to take place within this month, for it to go to, and specify the date? Do you have the date for the meeting?
So it'll be September 1, so I'll need something in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
So the motion then would be that a letter be drafted to go to the Economic and Development Planning Commission for their September 1st meeting by our chairman, Rex Blanton, Amanda, and we can only do 3, so who else?
We don't have to do 3. You need
Okay.
to.
the three that were working on this originally were Mr. Hollifield, Land, and myself, so, I mean, but we're welcome, you know, we can, that's not written in stone or anything, but
But you,
Let's go ahead and specify.
that's fine, yes.
So, you two?
Volunteers?
Anyone else? All right.
Sure.
To draft the letter with a copy being sent to all members prior to the September 1st meeting. I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, a motion to deliver a letter to the Planning and Economic Development by the 1st of September, and a second has been given. All those in favor? Is there any discussion?
Yes, I heard two different things. The board would like to see the letter before it goes to the Planning and Economic Development Board.
Y'all are gonna write it. We're gonna write it, aren't we?
Yeah.
Well, but the two of you,
Well, Kim,
We're gonna
or
submit
you,
it
or-
to you guys first. Yeah.
about-
okay, well,
would
that's
Kim
not,
like to do
I
that?
heard two different things. I'm sorry, I just.
He just said it wrong. He's got
Okay,
it.
well, I
We're
just
gonna
wanna
submit
make
it to
sure.
you guys before that, and then we'll.
So.
Well, how are we gonna decide?
As a matter, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so if at this point you all are gonna hand it off to 1 or 2, whoever many people, and that's what you all are voting on.
Yeah,
It's gonna be a
okay.
handoff, so they can send you all a copy of it.
Right.
But there's not gonna be another meeting between now and then.
Right.
So that's what it's being, that's. the
So if we don't like it, it's just too bad.
Huh?
If we don't agree with it, it's just too bad.
Well, help us write it. How about that?
Yeah.
We've got room for one more.
I know, but I mean, I'm talking about good, I mean, I was just thinking about everybody, not just me.
But it's.
Well, I will, I mean, I don't mind helping, but I'm just saying,
I think we have to entrust that, I mean, we already
Okay.
see what this says.
I just
So
wanted to
if
make
we
sure I was
delay
clear on that.
it's gonna delay it for another quarter, not just another month.
Well, it's
and-
gonna take years, like Adam
And there
said.
will be oversight, I mean, Adam will give oversight, so I don't think anything's gonna be said that's out of the
Okay,
realm. I mean, I trust, we're not going under the bus. If we do, we all go together, I guess, but I trust them
I don't
to
know
write it. And it be a positive. So, I mean, we've got to start somewhere, so
yeah, but I think I would like for us all to be on the same page before we go there, is what I'm trying to,
okay.
that's
Then-
what I'm trying to make.
Then if we want to table the motion, we can table the motion and we can bring it back in September and then it can go.
The motion's been seconded already, so I'm gonna go ahead and say y'all need to vote on it. If you all wanna make a second motion to table it and then have us look at it again in 4 months, with, just as using an example, as far as the proclamation goes, they voted on it, and Ms. Sewell, you've been sent out to do the proclamation, and that was kind of like you all said, entrusted to
That's
go
fine.
do that on part
I
of that.
was
If
just
we want, certainly we can have this go out, but it's like I said, quarterly, and by the time we meet, if you all want to table, it needs a motion to get tabled. It can't be by somebody who made a motion to, it has to be done by, the motion to rescind can't be done by somebody who votes against it, so.
I would just like to comment that keep it going, let's don't delay it, I don't think, because the next meeting's September, and then you said they meet quarterly, I don't know, but I'd like to move on with it. Might want to restate the motion in a second. So we got a motion and a second.
It's like, if you all don't want to, if you can call for a vote, and if that's what you all want to do. If you want to keep having discussion, keep having discussion, that's fine on it, but.
I'll just like say, I was just trying to clarify what I heard, because I heard two separate things.
I'd like to hear it again too, just to clarify, because I get tongue tied,
Didn't say I was for or against, I'm just,
can't even talk through this mask hardly, but could we restate the,
You want me to? I can, you can.
The motion that I was making the motion is to draft a letter, you and Amanda, based on this document, to present it to Economic and Development. You would send us a copy so we would know what was being sent. The meeting is set to be at their September 1st meeting, so that it would not delay the process, and we would not be waiting another quarter before that. That was the intent of the motion, is to draft the letter based on this document.
and if we, after we draft it and send it to everybody, can they make input?
No, I mean, we can, but we're
I mean, it's-
entrusting you guys
The
to
vote is
do
for
it.
y'all to do.
Actually, what we want is a letter saying what this right here says.
Right.
Instead of using, say for instance, right here, you say the policy, the disclosure notice, you could say, we recommend, the Agriculture Advisory Board recommends to inform residents of South Carolina, is a right to farm state, which is. But you know what I'm saying? All we need to do is make this into a letter instead of a form. Am I not correct? Is that what we're looking for? Anybody?
Sure. For me, the reason that I brought that up is that I think I resonated with what Adam was saying, which is these are the words that we're not necessarily going to have a lot of control over. So nitpicking these words is not the best use of our time. The best use of our time is to create something that goes on to the economic development meeting or the county council that states our intent, and I think really tells a story about why this is important to us. And so that's the piece that's missing. This doesn't mean a whole lot to somebody who doesn't understand the importance of an agricultural district disclosure form and notice. So we just need to tell a story about why this is important and what the intent of this is, to pass it off to get somebody to say, oh, wow, this is really important, we should pay attention to this. This doesn't do that, so that's what we need to create.
And that's what I agree, just simple to the point, that's what we need, is you're buying a farm, you're buying a piece of property, and the guy beside you on this side is a hog farmer, so when they start making noise, the farm is there. You know what you're buying. You've got trees over here, when they cut them down, they're not your shade trees. You know what you're buying. The intent is to protect the farmer, and the story is, of the farmer that does not want his livelihood disrupted because the neighbors sold the property.
That's
And I
right.
think that's what we're trying to hit home.
Yep.
That's the bottom
It
line.
also protects the purchaser too.
Exactly.
Yeah,
He knows
absolutely.
exactly what he's getting
Exactly.
into.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Ready to vote? All right, all those in favor of a subcommittee drafting a letter that we've discussed to present, that explains this before we submit this, all those in favor of a letter being drafted, please say aye. Aye? Are there any opposed? Say no. Okay, the motion passes. We will come up with a letter explaining why we're doing this and the importance of the disclosure form. And look forward to writing it.
Me too.
And I feel like everybody should have input, so it's just not like Amanda and myself.
Well, it's already voted.
Okay. All right, next item. I'm just trying to be fair, Robert's rules and all that.
That's in August, sir.
All right. non-traditional and specialty agricultural assistance.
One more.
Right.
County
Oh,
right to
Right to
farm.
Farm Act, I'm sorry. Right to Farm Act, County Right to Farm Act. The State Right to Farm Act is pretty simple, 4 pages. Ma'am? Sorry.
Sorry, I was asking her a quick question. I thought we had talked about her writing on it. I apologize.
Okay, I'm sorry, I skipped number 8. The Right to Farm Act. What discussion do we have on that? I've looked at a lot of them, and like I said, every state has one. They're very similar. A lot of them are very similar. Ours is 4 pages. It's not very difficult. We talked about doing the County Right to Farm Act. I don't know if we want to do that or just endorse the states, say we support the states. We talked about a proclamation reinforcing the state right to farm statute and how it affects Oconee, or how Oconee falls into that. So
So,
those were a couple of our ideas of just resolution and just backing of the state.
I thought that you were gonna take that task on, that we had decided that our part would be that we support the state's Right to Farm Act, because we don't want to do anything to distract from it or add to it to convolute it. But that you guys that were working on it was just gonna have a proclamation that it was recognized that we support, we don't try to reinvent the wheel.
Right. That's proclamations in the draft format. It's not quite ready yet, but yes, that's, I think, what we decided to do. So we're working on that, so.
Okay.
Been working on the other one too, so. Try to have that next time. So, the next one is non-traditional and specialty agriculture assistance. Anyone like to speak to that?
If I may, real quick, I'm gonna get my phone up because I want to. I found a cool thing on the Insta. Give me 1 second. Anyhow, there was a group going around basically trying to network farmers, as Mr. Hoffman mentioned, with the person coming up from Florida buying a farm, although it's not necessarily the exact same thing, as far as networking people with land who don't necessarily have a future generation to pass along to, and somehow like tenant farmer or sublease out farms getting those interested in farming with the big chunk outlay, which is your land. I think that was part of the conversation as well, and I believe Ms. Gray also brought up some of her specializations when we were speaking last time you were here about it. I haven't put together anything with this. Have any of y'all?
Well, we talked about it on our meeting. And so, one of the things that, that I see is, going along with what you just said, is there are people here in the county. I've talked to one young farmer. Well, I say young farmer, been in the business for a while, but they would like to expand. But capital is a problem. But there are plenty of places, I would like to have a way to connect him with some property. And I have, and keep going back to the county property, similar to, like I talked about, that they did in Atlanta. And I would like to go forward with that, maybe to talk with, the real estate division or development or whatever, to see if there is a place that we can try this out. Maybe not go, like a full-fledged program where we have people, vying for a piece of property or whatever, but to do something that, go through the steps that it would take to do that. Like if the county leases property to them for 2 years or something like that. That's what that part of it, the land need for people. There's also a need for not just food products, but which it is food product, but like we naturally think about, but our community bee yard. We have some beekeepers that can't keep bees where they live, and that's another land need or property need that goes along with what my intent was for the land acquisition. So, the other thing that we talked about on this, especially in non-traditional type farming, which actually the definition of it really includes most of what we sell at the farmer's market, what we see there. But there again, we talked about this. Part of that is education. What do you do with this? We have a young farmer that comes to the farmer's market now that does peppers. He has all kinds of peppers. He has from mild peppers to extremely hot peppers. And if we had some sort of education program, and like we were talking about, maybe, with the radio announcements or whatever, what do you do with those peppers? What can you do with them? And that gets into the education thing that we talked about. And I think we're within our scope to do something to promote that, I don't know. I kind of think the recipe thing started off right, and we did get some information from that. It's something of that nature.
You definitely carried the torch on that one. That was certainly.
I mean, we had not as much, we got started slow, and it built up to where we had something, but if something of that nature where we had I've thought about, what do you do with that? What do you do with those peaches you buy from Mr. Hollifield? Besides wash them and eat them. But, I mean, that could be a spot on the, one of your radio things. What do you do with that gala apple? Besides eat it, But that's kind of what we're looking at that right now as a more of a educational, have some sort of, it's hard to, we can't have cooking demonstrations at the farmers markets right now because of the virus, but there's got to be a way we can promote the products that we have.
For sure.
I would even like to have this is a thought I've thought about, is just have the county possibly do this, have a little placard for the farm, say, Callowwood Farms, Westminster, South Carolina, that we actually recognize them, and maybe we could partner with Clemson on that or something, so that when they come and sell, or where they're selling somewhere, that people would know who they are and where they're from. Anything like that would be kind of a additional thing that we could do to promote our farmers.
We could write some little articles in the paper, for that matter, to promote the usage of the product. Back to the networking with people to get land owners with prospective farmers. How could we do that?
I know Clemson also has a program with that. Kirby Player is, do you know Kirby?
Oh, yeah.
I know we were at Clemson with him at the same time. He's kind of the head of that program, and most of the farms that they have identified are in the lower part of the state. But I think if we kind of nudge Kirby a little bit, we might could get him to look into the upstate a little bit.
I knew he was active with the Student Farm Bureau chapter. I didn't know he did that, but
He does a little bit of everything.
he's I used to see him a lot on campus, but don't go to campus much anymore, so. Okay, just keep working on it.
If I may, so what are we doing with that? I mean, we're talking about it, I realize that. Is there something specific for next month that we can put this back on the agenda with? Is there?
Would you like for me to contact Kirby about the land, the farmland trust or whatever I think that's what they call it?
Sure, maybe see if there's something that they are looking to partner with, or maybe looking to, if there's anything, or if it's just a matter of getting it out on the airwaves, that there is something. So, to me, I think that's, let's just see what's out there versus us reinventing the wheel. But I mean, that's up to you.
The county's conservation land bank, who is in that? Is that gone anywhere or no?
What was the question, I'm sorry?
I'll ask that. I was asking about the county's
Land bank.
land bank. So you had someone come about the states, and I know the county had one at one time.
We do have a county land bank, yes, and we do. They meet, I think they meet as needed. I know they meet monthly, but I think that, yeah, they do meet monthly. They hear, I think it's like Tuesday mornings or something like that, or Monday mornings.
I guess my question there is some of that property, some of that land, maybe some that could not be on the list for networking?
So you come out like, let's just say I put all my farmland in conservation. So those people say, oh, would you be willing to farm it? That's a pretty good idea. I'll certainly, Katie Smith's the staff for that. I'll get with Katie. Maybe we'll get some of y'all to network with that board and see if there's any ways for us to join forces. Great idea.
Because they're already not selling it, so it would be available is what I was thinking.
Good. Okay, let's, do a little more research and put that back on next month's agenda. Last item, Victory Gardens. Any update on that? Let's see.
If you want to take it, go for it.
No, you go.
I think our consensus was that we're basically talking about community gardens and identifying it, but is there someone that can, almost a paid position to take that on? Because that's a challenging thing to come up with. I mean, that's our question. How would we accomplish, I think that's what we got to. And if I'm misspeaking, Amanda, you or Debbie, y'all could jump in, is who can, we didn't really know how we could do anything with it, and it really needs to be almost, when we discussed the Blue Ridge property, we discussed several properties, but it almost needs to be a paid position to take that on, right? Is that?
Yeah, we talked a lot about, it could be twofold, right? It could be a marketing campaign to help consumers with tips or tricks or, things like that, but without really a website to do that with, that's not, where would we market or advertise? But I heard a lot of stuff earlier about paper articles and radio spots that potentially the county has access to. Was that a correct?
So much to change, as far as us advertising out in any sort of paid way, definitely not in the paper at the moment, but the
Right.
Radio
Forgot about that.
is
A lot of the things Clemson Extension can include in their writing.
so I guess more of a plan is probably needed, like, I think maybe number 9 and number 10 are almost
Right.
on a similar page. So, plan, we could talk about, potentials for positions or advertising with that, really, with the intent. A lot of this is the intent. What is the intent of it? And then what is a workable plan? Because we'll have to work the plan for it. So if that's something that can be a plan, the idea is good, but we're all kind of reaching out and grabbing on different parts of this idea. Elephant Bite at a time, Victory Gardens were really popular. Why? It was great advertising, but why? Maybe start there, because we're in different times, but is it that different? So, maybe just start there and go back, see what worked when they did Victory Gardens in the World War I, II, whatever that was, time frame, and come back and say, okay, well, this is how, they put the building, because we're not making this up, we're gonna use someone else's, I mean, unless y'all come up with a new, brand new way, which would be great, but I think we can find someone and tailor it to suit us. That's my thought.
So look for examples of the original and modify it to what we could use today. Look for a template.
If that's what you all.
That's the idea I'm hearing, so. Just do a little more research and see what we can find out.
Also, if I may at this point, if you all want to add things to the agendas, the last meeting, and Ms. Callahan, you weren't here for the last one, but if you all do want to add things onto the agenda, I mean, we'll get it with Rex and we'll put it on there. Even though we did take off new business and old business, we can certainly add things on. So if, a week or two before the meeting, you all think of something you want to bring up, and I know with farming, stuff pops up at the very last minute, I understand that, but get in touch with me, we'll network with Rex and we'll make it happen. I just wanted to put that out.
Please, yes, please do. It's sometimes tricky to come up with the agenda items. So please do that. Feel free to give input, always. Agenda or whatever.
Can I ask a question about the, we decided to put the board member comments on there. And I kind of recall that you said something about that the had to be advertised what we were gonna comment on, or is it just that we're gonna comment on?
So comments, generally speaking, are put on there's council member comments for council meetings, planning commission, or after public comment.
Right.
It's usually, if not in response to often, but if there's something that's up. Now, it's not free range, like if I were up there and say, okay, well, you know what, we really need to vote on something, that's not the thing. Generally speaking, it's for, either something to do with public comment, or they don't want us to get too, what we talk about has to be on the agenda. So we can't go all like roundtable, free range, even though with farming, that's kind of how it works a lot. So, yeah, that comment is, I put on there as a backup to public comment, which we don't often have a lot.
Right. Well, I hope that I wasn't out of line bringing that up about because I thought that was kind of a public comment about the face covering things that people might need to be aware of.
I don't see the harm,
Since we don't, to have people telling me they're gonna come and comment about something, but it hadn't happened yet, so we would be it would be maybe in a response to that. So that's what you're saying.
I think you said it
Really the
responsibly.
reason why it's on there.
yeah, no, I think you said it responsibly, I think this is a good venue
Okay.
for it, it's,
If people make comments to us as their representatives, well, shouldn't we relay the comment? I thought that was great, because I wasn't sure there'd been so many changes to the mask and all this stuff. I wasn't sure about that, so I think you did good bringing that up.
I'm
Appreciate
just
it.
saying in general though, if I hope that was okay, but in general, it's really a response to the public comment.
that's fine, I think for the mask, I think that was,
Okay.
there's no box, no silo we can put that one in, we're in weird times, so.
We're in a weird time. That's what I was
I
thinking.
think, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
I might be able to have it for tomorrow, but I mean, tonight,
Hello, lawyer, I'm sorry.
Promoting safety, I think that's what we should do. And I think we should go home and eat supper if we don't object, so. Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.